The Gilded Age was a time of massive industrialization and urbanization in America, beginning in the 1870s and ending in the year 1900. The creation of new technologies paved the way for industrialization. The growth of industries provided opportunities for many people from different countries who dreamed of finding jobs and a more successful life in America. This major flood of newcomers caused cities to grow rapidly. Two of the most important technologies created during this time period were the Bessemer process and electricity. But how did these technologies affect industry in the Gilded Age? Without the Bessemer process and electricity, industries would not have expanded and America would not have been industrialized. Before the 1880s, iron was a commonly used material in the creation of infrastructure. However, there were many disadvantages to using iron. It was not strong enough and too heavy to uphold large buildings, nor was it strong enough to withstand the weight of speeding trains as rail tracks. It became a necessity to create steel, a much stronger material, in a cheap and fast way. Sir Henry Bessemer was an engineer and inventor born in 1813 in Charlton, United Kingdom. In 1856, Bessemer had received a patent for the process he would put to use in a machine called the Bessemer converter. Invented in 1885, the converter would have the ability to mass-produce steel in an inexpensive way. The process was able to remove impurities from iron by oxidization, with air being blown through the iron. The invention of the Bessemer process revolutionized the way steel was processed and used during this time. Factories of the late 1880s heavily relied upon the Bessemer process, including those of Andrew Carnegie, the top steel producer of the time. American writer Hamlin Garland visited one of these factories in 1894 and discussed his experience in the June edition of McClure's magazine.
The converting mill was the most gorgeous and dangerous of all. Here the crude product is turned into steel by the Bessemer process. It also was a huge shed-like building open on two sides. In the center stood supports for two immense pear-shaped pots, which swung on pivots 10 or 12 feet from the floor. Over each pot was a huge chimney. Out of each pot roared alternately a ferocious geyser of saffron and sapphire flame, streaked with deeper yellow. From it a light streamed, a light that flung violet shadows everywhere and made the gray outside rain a beautiful blue.
The greatest progress in America during the Gilded Age was the creation of steel, which played a vital role in the expansion of industries. One could even consider the steel trade to be the backbone of the entire mechanical industry in the nation.
Steel's biggest contributions to expanding industries was its use in railroads, which played a key role in the economic growth of America. The railroads helped the economy flourish because they transported goods for a low cost. The industries that prospered as a result of the railroads were the beef industry, glass industry, coal industry, and many more. Other railroads also served as a means of transportation for people to travel across cities to work. This also allowed for industries to expand as factories needed their employees to be able to get to work on time. Because steel was being used so much, it became an industry in and of itself. Andrew Carnegie used the Bessemer process in many of his factories. He created the Carnegie Steel Company, the leading steel producing company of the Gilded Age, in 1892. The Bessemer process allowed for the steel industry and other interconnected industries to expand. The steel made from the Bessemer process was widely used to build infrastructure. It allowed engineers to envision skyscraping towers, bay-spanning bridges, unsinkable ships, and mass-produced horseless carriages. The Home Insurance Building in Chicago, completed in 1884, was the first tall building to use steel in its frame. The Brooklyn Bridge, completed in 1883, was the first steel wire suspension bridge ever built. Both of these were very important technological innovations and would not have been made possible if it weren't for the Bessemer process. The Bessemer process led to the creation of many appliances present in households all across the nation as well, such as electrical ovens, refrigerators, washing machines, and automobiles. Its presence was important even in the medical field, where it was used to help improve surgical tools. The steel produced from the Bessemer process had many uses that helped everyday Americans, and these different technological innovations were causes of the rapid industrialization of America. Many of these technological innovations also required electricity to run. People have known about electricity since ancient times. but its power was first harnessed during the Gilded Age. Thomas Edison was an American inventor and businessman, born in 1847 in Milan, Ohio. He saw electricity as his field of fields to reorganize the life of the world. On January 27, 1880, Edison was given the patent to create the light bulb and was able to create the first incandescent light bulb in 1878. The first bulb that he attempted to create was an oxygen-free bulb, but it did not stay lit as long as he expected. He tested many different filaments in order to create a bulb that would glow and last for the longest amount of time. Edison's creation of the light bulb was one of the first applications of electricity in modern life. This allowed for electricity to be used in many homes and in factories as a light source and power source for the machines. Edison worked with privileged customers in New York City in the 1880s to light their homes using his incandescent light bulb and small generators. These new lighting systems introduced people to an entirely new type of energy. The first major installation anywhere of the Edison electric incandescent lighting system took place at the Heinz, Ketchum and Company printing and lithography offices in New York City in 1881.
We have found it to be entirely free from all the faults and objectionable features of other artificial lights, and it is the best substitute for daylight we have ever known.
Edison launched his business, General Electric, in 1882 and was able to open the United States' first central power plant in New York, known as Pearl Street Station. New power plants led to an increase in company work production in factories. Because generators were necessary to efficiently spread electricity, industries focusing on the production of generators began to arise.
Electric power is beneficial in the factories, playing an especially big role in the clothing industry. The introduction of the electric sewing machine into factories in 1889 led to the rapid growth in the industry in particular.
First developed by Elias Howe in 1845, the automatic sewing machine was the first to be used for practical operation in factories all over the nation. Before the creation of this machine, workers had to physically push a pedal in order to run the machine, making the job time-consuming and exhausting. Once the electric sewing machine was introduced, clothing began to be produced in less time. Hence, the cost of making each article of clothing decreased. The use of electricity for the everyday American began to expand quickly through many different inventions, starting in the 1870s. Electricity made life much easier for the working class. Machines could be powered and used with just a touch of a button. Electricity also helped housewives. While at home, they were able to cook, iron, and run the washer all at the same time. The San Francisco Call, a very popular newspaper for the working class, included quotes from children talking about how valuable and useful electricity was in its April 22nd of 1911 issue.
Everyone knows that electricity is a wonderful thing. It has been proved that electricity has helped the world progress. What would the stores, theaters, halls, and streets be like if we didn't have electricity? The largest portion of the city depends on it.
Without electricity, the telephone, the telegraph, the automobile, and other very important and useful inventions would not have been created. Steel and electricity are both prominently used in many important aspects of the everyday lives of Americans. Both industries continue to play a fundamental part in the American economy and affect the lives of millions. Corporations such as Alien Energy manage to make electricity available to millions, and companies such as Super Steel produce and manufacture steel, which can then be used to create everyday appliances, as well as modern structures such as stadiums and skyscrapers. The creation of the Bessemer process and the harnessing of electricity during the Gilded Age allowed for the expansion of industries in the United States and for America to be industrialized. Without them, none of this would have been possible.